Many members of our Georgia community gathered to celebrate hemp after UGA harvested its first crop here. HalloWEED Fest 2019 recap!
Fact of the matter is, we share one earthly mother, which makes this woman my sister, which makes that man my brother, which makes the ground that we walk on sacred that we will discover the light within the soul. It burn like fire. Lift up, may your conscience remain higher. When I look up to the sky, I remember who I am. When the wind blows across my skin, remember where I come from. Mighty ocean, majestic trees, same blood that flows in me. We wade through the river, we're ready to fly.
Get them a little more focused on what do you want. What do you want to grow it for? Are you going to grow it for CBD extraction? You're going to grow it for other industrial purposes, and then try to help develop the industry so that it is profitable for farmers and for processors and for people who make hemp backpacks and whatever else. So anyway, we're happy to be here. Stop by our table up there. We've got some information about what we do and who we are. And once again, Aviva, thanks for reaching out to us. I'm an organization, and that's what we're trying to do, revive it in this country, and especially in this state. And it can be a great industry in this state. Matter of fact, Dr. Tim Coulong up at UGA has told me that he thinks we can get 3 crops a year in Georgia. We can actually do a winter crop here in Georgia. So, and actually suggest that we start planting later. We don't plant until July or August, because if you plant, Aviva taught me this. THC is like the sunscreen of the cannabis plant. If you stress it, if it gets too hot, if it gets too much moisture, if it doesn't get enough moisture, then it self-medicates with THC. It's like the sunscreen. So we have to plant later here in Georgia because we stay hotter longer. So just that type of thing that we're trying to teach folks. So anyway, thanks, Aviva. Thanks for letting me be here. And,
thank you.
Good luck with Hero. Okay.
Regulations. The first 121 pages talked about their justification to make this their final set of rules, and they're not going to do any more work. So that's kind of cheesy. They cited a bunch of false history about, hemp fell out of favor because sales and rope rot in seawater.
That is so obvious.
That's just one of the many heinous things
they're
they talk
lying.
about. They also talk about expediting the rules so that farmers would have a chance of actually getting the crop in the ground for the 2020 season. But they cited the Safe and Fair, the SAFE Act, the Safe Banking Act. I can't remember what SAFE stands for, but Safe, Fair, and Equitable Banking Transactions. Because as you know, a cannabis or hemp farmer can't get a bank account because the federal banking regulations exclude it because of the THC molecule is a DEA Schedule I drug, therefore any money coming from it is illegal money. And furthermore, with the IRS's rules, if you have a business based on cannabis or in hemp, you can't deduct any of your business expenses because it's money derived from an illegal substance. So the layers and the intricacies of all the different agencies and rules, and all the banking industry, the big pharma, all these other people are fighting it. It's just getting more and more ridiculous, the suppression of hemp, and my friend Fred can attest to that. So after the rules came out, we sat down and we looked over the rules. Again, the rules are actually about 40 pages of 161 pages of crap. And the most heinous parts of the bill...
You should still read it, though.
I'm going to read it right now. So anyway, Dear Senator Perdue, yes, Sonny Perdue is the Department of Agriculture chief executive, and it just so happens his cousin David Perdue is our senator.
Are they actual cousins?
Yes, they are.
I didn't know
Perdue, you know,
that.
probably the chicken men are probably part of its family.
Yeah, there's
too,
a
but they're
huge
in
chicken
the
industry in
forestry
Georgia.
industry.
Yeah.
So anyway,
They need to be eating CBD chickens.
dear Senator Perdue, the USDA has published their interim final rules for domestic hemp production. However, within the IFR, it is apparent that they have stepped outside of their authority to supersede the will of Congress. Georgia Hemp Industries strongly objects to the following. Whereas the addition of THCA to the USDA IFR is not consistent with the language of the Agricultural Improvement Act of 2018. Whereas the definition of hemp set forth under Subtitle G, Hemp Production, Section 297A, Definitions. In the subtitle, number 1, hemp, the term hemp means the plant Cannabis sativa L, and any parts of the plant, including the seeds thereof, and all derivatives, extracts, cannabinoids, isomers, acids, salts of isomers, whether growing or not, with a delta-9 tetrahydrocannabinol concentration of not more than 0.3% on a dry weight basis. So the definition of hemp is Cannabis sativa L with a delta-9 THC content less than 0.3%. Everybody follow along with that? Whereas there is no mention of any other distinctly unique cannabinoid, despite the mention of post-decarboxylation testing methods cited in Section 297B, A22, a procedure for testing using post-decarboxylation, blah, 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 or other similarly reliable methods. Delta-9 tetrahydrocannabinol concentration levels of hemp produced in the state territorial Indian tribe. So they're saying test for Delta-9, and then whereas tetrahydrocannabinolic acid is not mentioned anywhere in the language of the Agriculture Improvement Acts of 2019, whereas the testing method prescribed in the sampling guidelines for the hemp is inconsistent with internationally recognized sample collection and prescribed is prejudicial to obtaining a hot sample with the incorporation of the inclusion of THCA. Therefore, the USDA IFR does not comport with the intention of Congress and should have any references to any other unique cannabinoid not specifically mentioned within the Agricultural Improvement Act. So that's what I'm saying. It's like they only mention Delta-9, THC in the Agricultural Improvement Acts of 2019, and here the USDA is saying that you have to test for not only Delta-9 THC, but also the decarboxylated THCA. So you have to look at total THCA content and make a mathematical calculation to see how much of that could possibly be converted into Delta-9 THC. So this is, I almost said a bad word.
That's okay.
Forest Pucky.
Other people have said it.
We're going to be putting this out as a petition for everyone to send to their legislator. This is also going to impact the next legislative Georgia cycle, because if Georgia tries to mirror this with the post-decarboxylation and the inclusion of THCA, when the law only specifies Delta-9 THC, we're going to have a real issue.
Will we be able to sign it on the Georgia Hemp Industries
You got to
site?
yell louder.
Will we be able to sign it on your website?
It will be circulated through all the hemp and marijuana groups on Facebook, including GeorgiaHempIndustries.com, the HempBusinessBureau.com, and all the associated.
Peachtree Normal too.
Peachtree Normal will put it out. No, Georgia
Hemp
Economic Revival Organization will put it out, and so will everyone else. So I will take questions if anyone has any questions about what I've talked about. But you'll have to scream them really loud.
It's a real issue. Why? Again?
The real issue is because the USDA has overstepped the boundaries of the will of Congress to include THCA in their calculation for the discovery of Delta-9 THC. Delta-9 THC is a molecule that can come from THCA, tetrahydrocannabinolic acid, but it's not present unless you introduce a chemical reaction or heat. So it doesn't exist naturally. Therefore, they're really kind of tainting the whole hemp industry in favor of having no farmer be able to produce a industrial hemp crop of less than 0.3% delta 9 THC. So everyone follow along. It's kind of complicated, but they're adding stuff that wasn't in the bill.
Excuse me, but it's all bullshit.
It is all.
I was gonna say that,
I
but-
mean, unless it's completely liberated, whatever level THC. I mean, as hemp activists, we're not supposed to say that. It's all one plant.
All one plant, Cannabis sativa L.
It's all one plant. Like
Broadleaf.
this 0.3% genetics was from a Canadian farmer who wants to bank on it.
Well, and that's the thing. We actually live in the Tropic of Cancer, and within our geographic latitude, it's very difficult to grow a crop less than 0.3% on the genetics that are available to us now. Most of the 0.3% genetics are either grown at high altitude in the middle of the U.S. or further north.
It's like trying to create humans without any body odor.
So they're THC.
So,
It's gonna be hot.
one of the good things that they didn't include in the bill, they actually spoke out against starting any seed certification programs, and I like that because that